In a world where our thumbs scroll endlessly through curated feeds, where likes shape our self-worth, and where algorithms dictate our thoughts, we find ourselves trapped in a digital labyrinth that Friedrich Nietzsche warned us about over a century ago. This 19th century philosopher, with his piercing gaze and iconic mustache, peered into the future and saw the very chains that now bind us to our screens. Nietzsche spoke of passive nihilism, a state where life loses meaning, and we seek refuge in mindless distractions. He foresaw a world where the herd mentality would reign supreme, where individuality would be crushed under the weight of conformity. Little did he know that his prophecies would manifest in the form of Instagram stories, Twitter debates, and TikTok trends. But Nietzsche wasn't just a doomsayer. He was a revolutionary thinker who demanded more from humanity. He called for self-overcoming, for the creation of new values in the face of a crumbling moral landscape. And in today's digital age, his words ring truer than ever. As we dive deeper into this exploration, we'll uncover how Nietzsche's timeless insights apply to our modern digital dilemma. We'll see how his concept of the Übermensch, not a superhero, but anyone brave enough to live with radical self-honesty, can guide us through the noise of social media, and we'll challenge ourselves to break free from the algorithm's grasp and reclaim authorship of our own minds. But first, we must confront an uncomfortable truth. We are not as free as we think we are. Our thoughts, our desires, even our sense of self, all are shaped by the digital world we inhabit. We perform for likes, curate our identities for followers, and outsource our morality to viral trends. We've become slaves to the very tools we created to connect us. Nietzsche's concept of self-overcoming isn't about reaching a final destination. It's about embarking on a continuous journey of growth and self-discovery. In the context of social media, this means constantly questioning our motivations. Why do we post what we post? Are we seeking validation or expressing our authentic selves? Are we following trends or forging our own path? The Übermensch, in Nietzsche's philosophy, isn't someone who shouts the loudest or has the most followers. It's the individual who dares to think deeper, to challenge the status quo, and to create their own values. In a world of hot takes and viral opinions, the true rebel is the one who takes the time to form their own thoughts, regardless of how many likes they might receive. But here's the catch: social media, by its very nature, encourages image crafting over identity forming. We're incentivized to present a polished, curated version of ourselves. Rather than grappling with our true, complex identities, we become actors in our own lives, performing for an invisible audience rather than living authentically. So how do we break free from this digital prison? Nietzsche would argue that it starts with choosing discomfort over dopamine. It means resisting the urge to check our notifications, to seek validation through likes, to lose ourselves in endless scrolling. It means embracing the uncomfortable silence of our own thoughts, facing our fears and contradictions head-on. Real agency, true freedom, begins when we stop outsourcing our values to trends and influencers. It's about reclaiming the power to define what matters to us, what we believe in, what kind of person we want to become. This isn't a call for isolation or complete disconnection. Rather, it's an invitation to engage with the digital world on our own terms, consciously and critically. Nietzsche's philosophy challenges us to confront ourselves with brutal honesty. This isn't narcissism, it's spiritual strength. It's about looking in the mirror and seeing not just our curated social media persona, but our whole self, flaws, contradictions, and all. It's about embracing our complexity rather than flattening ourselves to fit into a profile picture. The ultimate rebellion, in Nietzsche's view, is living a life that is truly your own, not a life dictated by societal expectations, not one shaped by the pursuit of likes and followers, but a life authored by you, on your own terms. It's about having the courage to step off the well-trodden path and forge your own way through the wilderness of existence. But this journey isn't easy. It requires constant vigilance, a willingness to question everything, including ourselves. It demands that we face the void left when we strip away the comforting distractions of our digital world. Yet in that void, Nietzsche believed, lies the potential for true creativity, for the birth of new values that can give our lives authentic meaning. As we stand at this crossroads, caught between the allure of the digital herd and the challenging path of self-authorship, we must ask ourselves, what would our lives look like if we truly authored them on our own terms? If we weren't constrained by the fear of missing out, by the need for constant validation, by the pressure to conform to digital trends, who could we become? Imagine a life where every decision, every belief, every action stems from a place of deep self-knowledge and authenticity. A life where we're not performing for an audience, but living for ourselves, where we measure our worth not in likes and followers, but in the depth of our experiences and the strength of our convictions. This isn't about completely abandoning social media or technology. It's about changing our relationship with these tools. It's about using them consciously, as means to express our authentic selves and connect with others in meaningful ways, rather than as crutches for our insecurities or escapes from our real lives. Nietzsche's challenge to us echoes through time: become who you are. In today's algorithm-driven world, this means resisting the gravitational pull of curated identities and viral trends. It means daring to be different, to think for ourselves, to create our own values in a world that constantly tries to impose its values upon us. As we come to the end of this journey, we're left with a profound question, one that Nietzsche would urge us to grapple with. If your values weren't shaped by likes or trends, what kind of person would you become? The answer to this question isn't something that can be found in a self-help book or a motivational video. It's something that each of us must discover for ourselves through the challenging but rewarding process of self-reflection and self-authorship. The path ahead isn't easy. It requires courage, honesty, and a willingness to face uncomfortable truths. But it's a path that leads to true freedom, the freedom to be ourselves, to live authentically, to create meaning in a world that often seems devoid of it. So, as you go back to your life, as you pick up your phone and open your social media apps, remember Nietzsche's warning and his challenge. Remember that you have the power to break free from the digital herd, to resist the algorithm, to author your own life. The choice is yours. Will you continue to perform for likes, or will you dare to become who you truly are? Picture this: a world where every thought, every action, every moment of your life is shaped by the invisible hand of the crowd. A world where your beliefs, your desires, your very identity are molded not by your own will, but by the relentless pressure of conformity. This isn't some dystopian fantasy, it's the reality we're living in right now. And it's exactly what Friedrich Nietzsche warned us about over a century ago. Nietzsche, that firebrand philosopher of the 19th century, saw it coming. He peered into the future and glimpsed the shadows of our modern digital age. He spoke of passive nihilism, of mass distractions, of a herd mentality that would threaten to crush the individual spirit. And now, as we scroll through our endless social media feeds, chasing likes and follows, we're living out his darkest predictions. But Nietzsche didn't just sound the alarm, he offered us a way out. He called for self-overcoming, for the creation of new values in the face of a world that demands we follow the herd. He challenged us to become the authors of our own lives, to rise above the noise and reclaim our own narratives. Today, we stand at a crossroads. Will we succumb to the digital conformity that surrounds us? Or will we heed Nietzsche's call and forge our own path? The choice is ours, but the stakes have never been higher. Let's dive deeper into Nietzsche's warnings and see how they've come to life. In our social media-saturated world, Nietzsche railed against what he called slave morality, the tendency of the masses to value conformity over creativity, obedience over originality. He saw this as a poison that would slowly drain the vitality from society, leaving us all as passive consumers rather than active creators. Fast forward to today, and what do we see? A share-and-like culture that's the very embodiment of that slave morality. We're constantly encouraged to follow trends, to jump on bandwagons, to be part of the latest viral sensation. It's a world where originality is often punished, where standing out from the crowd can lead to ridicule or ostracism. But it gets worse. Our social media platforms aren't just encouraging conformity, they're actively reinforcing it. The algorithms that power these sites are designed to show us more of what we already like, to surround us with voices that echo our own. It's creating a world of digital echo chambers, where dissenting opinions are filtered out, and our existing beliefs are constantly reinforced. This is exactly what Nietzsche feared: a world where critical thinking is replaced by groupthink, where the individual is subsumed into the mass. We're becoming passive nihilists. As Nietzsche would say, we're not actively shaping our world or our values. We're simply being acted upon, pushed and pulled by the tides of popular opinion. But here's where Nietzsche's philosophy takes a turn that might surprise you. He didn't just critique this herd mentality, he saw it as an opportunity. Nietzsche championed what he called active nihilism, the idea that we must destroy old values to forge new ones. In our context, that means breaking free from the constraints of social media conformity to create something truly original. This is where Nietzsche's concept of the Übermensch comes in. No, not the comic book superhero. This is about becoming a self-authoring individual, someone who has the courage to create their own values in a world that's constantly trying to impose its values on you. It's about achieving emotional and moral autonomy in an environment that's obsessed with the crowd. So, the question becomes, how do we regain that self-overcoming power that Nietzsche called for? How do we rise above the digital herd and become the authors of our own lives? It starts with awareness. We need to recognize the subtle ways that social media is shaping our thoughts and behaviors. Every time you feel the urge to share something just because it's trending, or to change your opinion because it's unpopular, that's the herd mentality at work. Recognizing it is the first step to overcoming it. Next, we need to actively curate our digital environments. Just as you wouldn't surround yourself with negative people in real life, don't fill your feed with content that doesn't serve you. Seek out diverse viewpoints, challenge your own assumptions, and don't be afraid to unfollow or mute accounts that are dragging you down into groupthink. But awareness and curation aren't enough. Nietzsche would urge us to go further, to actively create. In a world of endless consumption, be a producer. Share your original thoughts, not just retweets. Create content that challenges the status quo. Use these platforms as tools for self-expression, not just validation seeking. This isn't easy. Going against the grain of social media can feel isolating. You might lose followers, get fewer likes. But remember what Nietzsche said: the individual has always had to struggle to keep from being overwhelmed by the tribe. This struggle is what forges true individuality. And here's the thing: as you start to break free from the digital herd, you'll likely find others doing the same. You'll connect with people who value originality over conformity, who are seeking authentic connections in a world of superficial interactions. This is how you start to build a community of free thinkers, of self-authoring individuals. But let's be clear, this isn't about completely disconnecting from social media. These platforms can be powerful tools for connection, learning, and self-expression when used mindfully. The goal is not to retreat from the digital world, but to engage with it on your own terms, to use it as a means of self-overcoming rather than self-loss. As we wrap up, I want you to consider this. In a world of trends, do you lead or just follow? Are you actively shaping your digital experience, or are you being passively shaped by it? Nietzsche's challenge to us is clear. In the face of digital conformity, we must strive to become the authors of our own lives. This is more than just a philosophical exercise. In an age where our digital lives are increasingly intertwined with our real-world identities, the ability to maintain our individuality online is crucial. It affects our mental health, our relationships, our very sense of self. So, the next time you open your social media app, pause for a moment. Ask yourself, am I here to follow or to lead? Am I here to consume or to create? Am I here to conform or to transform? Nietzsche's warnings about the herd mentality are more relevant now than ever before. But so is his call for self-overcoming, for the creation of new values in the face of conformity. The digital age presents us with unprecedented challenges, but also with unprecedented opportunities for self-expression and individuality. The choice is yours. Will you be swept along by the digital current, or will you chart your own course? Will you be a passive consumer of content, or an active creator of meaning? Will you let your online life be dictated by algorithms and trends, or will you use these tools to express your unique voice and vision? Remember, in the words of Nietzsche himself, he who has a why to live for can bear almost anyhow. Find your why. Use it to navigate the choppy waters of our digital world, and in doing so, you might just become the Ubermensch of the social media age, a beacon of individuality in a sea of conformity. The storm of digital conformity is raging around us, but within that storm lies the opportunity for transformation. Will you seize it? In the twilight of the 19th century, a philosopher peered into the future and saw a world drowning in distraction. Friedrich Nietzsche, with his piercing gaze and iconic mustache, warned of a cultural trap that would ensnare generations to come. He called it passive nihilism, a slow drift into meaninglessness, where society falls asleep to real values and gorges itself on cheap thrills and petty pleasures. Fast forward to today, and Nietzsche's prophecy echoes through our screens with eerie precision. Social media, that omnipresent force in our pockets, has become the very embodiment of what he feared. We're no longer just distracted, we're addicted to distraction itself. Picture this: millions of thumbs scrolling endlessly, eyes glazed over, absorbing an endless stream of curated images and sound bites. It's not just entertainment, it's a dopamine-driven feedback loop that's rewiring our brains. Every like, every share, every notification, they're all tiny hits of pleasure, keeping us tethered to our devices and disconnected from deeper meaning. But here's the kicker: Nietzsche didn't just diagnose the problem, he saw it as a symptom of something far more insidious. He warned of the herd mentality, the tendency for individuals to lose themselves in the crowd. And what is social media if not the ultimate herd? Algorithms curate our feeds, showing us more of what we already like, reinforcing our existing beliefs, and slowly eroding our capacity for independent thought. Think about it. When was the last time you formed an opinion without first checking what others thought? How often do you catch yourself mindlessly scrolling, absorbing information without truly processing it? We're living in an age where depth is sacrificed for breadth, where complex ideas are reduced to memes and infographics. Nietzsche would look at our modern world and see his worst fears realized. We've become a society of passive consumers, numbing ourselves with endless entertainment instead of grappling with life's big questions. Netflix binges, viral videos, and carefully crafted Instagram posts, these are the new priestly distractions, keeping us docile and compliant. But here's where Nietzsche's insight becomes truly revolutionary. He didn't just critique, he offered a way out. He called for self-overcoming, for individuals to break free from the herd and create their own values. In a world of conformity, he demanded courage and creativity. So, what does this mean for us, the social media generation? It means we have a choice. We can continue to drift, letting algorithms and influencers shape our thoughts and desires, or we can heed Nietzsche's call and reclaim our narrative. Imagine stepping back from the constant noise, the endless notifications. Picture yourself asking the hard questions. What truly matters to me? What values do I want to embody? How can I create meaning in a world that often feels meaningless? This isn't about abandoning technology or completely unplugging. It's about using these tools consciously, rather than letting them use us. It's about curating our digital lives with the same care we'd curate our physical spaces. It's about seeking out diverse perspectives, engaging in real dialogue, and using social media to amplify our authentic selves rather than projecting a carefully crafted image. Nietzsche spoke of the Übermensch, the overman who transcends societal norms and creates new values. In our digital age, this might look like someone who uses social media mindfully, who creates content that challenges and inspires rather than simply entertains. It might be someone who fosters genuine connections online, who uses these platforms to organize for change or share knowledge that truly matters. But this transformation isn't easy. It requires constant vigilance, a willingness to swim against the current of likes and shares. It demands that we cultivate real-world experiences and relationships, that we engage with art, nature, and philosophy in ways that can't be captured in a tweet or a TikTok. As we stand at this digital crossroads, Nietzsche's words ring out across the centuries. He who has a why to live can bear almost anyhow. In a world of endless scrolling and fleeting dopamine hits, what's your why? What purpose drives you beyond the next notification? The challenge is clear: to use these powerful tools without being used by them, to create meaning in a landscape often devoid of it, to be individuals in a world that constantly pushes us towards conformity. Nietzsche didn't live to see the internet age, but he understood the human tendency to seek comfort over growth, distraction over depth. He knew that true fulfillment comes not from passive consumption, but from active creation of art, of ideas, of our very selves. So the next time you reach for your phone, pause, ask yourself, am I seeking connection or just avoiding discomfort? Am I engaging with ideas that challenge me? Or am I simply reinforcing what I already believe? Am I using this technology to express my authentic self? Or am I letting it shape me into something I'm not? Remember, every scroll, every like, every share is a choice. It's a tiny act of value creation or value destruction. In the grand tapestry of your life, what kind of pattern are you weaving with these digital threads? Nietzsche's warning still echoes, but so does his call to action. In a world of passive nihilism, be the active creator. In a sea of distraction, be the focused individual. In the face of conformity, dare to be different. The power is in your hands, quite literally. Will you use it to scroll mindlessly through another feed? Or will you harness it to craft a life of meaning, purpose, and authentic connection? The choice, as always, is yours. But remember, Nietzsche is watching, and he's challenging you to rise above the digital noise, to become the author of your own story in this vast, interconnected world. So, what will your next chapter be?